Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about China's semiconductor ambitions and how it is fueling a European brain drain. So, historically, within the past 100 years, the United States has been the brain drain country where a lot of intellectuals from the rest of the world decide to go to the United States to study, and then typically they end up staying there afterwards. And now we're finding that a lot of people are moving to China instead and working in China instead of places like the United States and like Europe. And so this article says that more than 30,000 workers at European technology companies have moved to China in the last 20 years, bringing critical industry know-how back home. So these are people who were ethnically Chinese in a lot of cases who went to Europe to study and then decided that Europe was not really a good place to live anymore. And so they decided to move back to the United States or move back to China. And we see this across the board, but this article is talking specifically about semiconductor chips. And I talk about semiconductors a lot on this channel just because of how important semiconductors are to a country being self-sufficient. You need semiconductors in everything from washing machines to aircrafts to missiles to everything in some way, shape, or forms in a functioning, modern, technologically advanced society needs semiconductor chips. I mean, we need semiconductor chips in our personal computers. I'm recording on a computer that has semiconductor chips in it. So you're watching this on either a phone or a computer or a tablet or something like that that has semiconductor chips in it. So semiconductor chips are extremely important for modern societies. So this article starts off talking about Jin Zhang, who maybe that's like the alter ego of Xi Jinping. It's just like his name like swapped around a little bit. Jin Zhang's early career looked like a textbook case of brain drain, the kind where highly qualified workers in the developing world seek greener pastures and advanced economies. In 1996, he moved from China to Europe to do postdoc research in Belgium and later became chief engineer for the automotive electronic division of the Dutch firm NXP Semiconductor NV, a job he held for more than a decade. Okay, so people have, to a certain extent, been wondering about why is the United States cannibalizing Europe right now? And it's partially because of the fact that if the United States doesn't cannibalize Europe, people will naturally gravitate towards China instead, and the brain drain will occur going towards China instead of going towards America. So what America is doing is it's using its institutional power, its control over Western governments to cannibalize these countries that have been loyal allies, loyal vassals, loyal proxies of the United States instead of allowing these people to go help and support China instead. So no matter what, Europe is losing at this point. They're either being cannibalized by their puppet master, the United States, or people are seeking greener pastures in China now. So the article goes on to say, then Jin flipped the script. In 2010, he moved back to China and founded AutoRock, which makes LCD screens for electric vehicles and competes with Jin's former employer. Jin was one of more than 30,000 experts at large European technology companies, mostly semiconductor and telecom equipment makers, lost over the past 2 decades to Chinese organizations, according to a new study. Utah-based security firm Strider Technologies Inc. mined open source data, including scientific journals, patent filings, and other public records in China to measure the previously unquantified migration. The company's findings stoked further fears over China's technology ambitions, especially in semiconductors, an area where the U.S. and its allies have ratcheted up export bans on key chips and manufacturing technologies over the past year. Okay, so given the propagandist way that this paragraph was framed, I looked at the article where this article is from, and it's from Bloomberg. So no wonder this is a propaganda article that is meant to foment hostility towards China. So let's see. So it says things like this, which is clear propaganda. The company's findings stoke further fears over China's technology ambitions. So what? Why do you have to fear China's technology? Like, they just build stuff and then they sell it to people at very reasonable prices. I believe this monitor is one of the Xiaomi models, and so it's excellent monitor, and so I love it. A lot of technology China makes, very high quality, very reliable. People are still thinking that it's the China of the 1990s where they had low quality trinkets that they would sell cheaply. And no, China makes very advanced stuff now. They've innovated, they've updated, they've industrialized they modernized to an extent that has been so rapid that it's been within people's lifetime. And I don't think people's perception of China has really kept up to a large extent. Or if it has kept up, you see things like this, which is just fear mongering about China just building things, which they always do, and they don't use it to the detriment of other people. Okay. The Chinese foreign minister rejected Strider's conclusion. This American company has previously published a series of reports full of false information, smearing and attacking China. It said in a statement, China's exchange of talent with foreign countries is no different from other countries. Yeah, that's completely correct. The United States drains intellectual capacity from other countries, human capital from other countries at a far higher rate than China has historically done. And the fact that China is just a nice place to live nowadays doesn't make them the bad guy. They are doing things extremely reasonably, and people want to go work for them. No duh. I mean, they have a higher life expectancy than the United States. Purchasing power parity, they're doing excellently. You can make very good salaries in China. I would absolutely love working for a Chinese company. I would not want to work for an American company at this point, given the current state of America, given the breakdown of all types of organizations within America. But anyways, let's move on with this article. U.S. officials have warned for years that China incentivizes intellectual property theft with a vast system of cash grants, tax breaks, and other perks designed to induce Chinese nationals living abroad to bring back expertise and trade secrets. Yeah, the United States did that in order to get ahead of the United Kingdom too, where the United Kingdom was kind of passing on the mantle to the United States. The United States took any intellectual property it wanted in order to modernize and become the global hegemon after United Kingdom's decline after World War II. So, I mean, the United States acts like this is historically some type of abomination. It's against historical trends. But no, China is the rising power. They are taking the things, intellectual property that would benefit them in their continuing rise. And the United States did exactly the same thing. The United Kingdom did exactly the same thing. Spain did it. I mean, this is just par for the course when it comes to becoming a rising power. Strider's chief executive officer, Greg Levesque, said China sees leadership in the semiconductor industry as vital to its military and commercial goals, and nothing will deter from pursuing those efforts. Yeah, obviously, the United States is doing everything possible to stop China from becoming self-sufficient. They've fomented a lot of tensions, a lot of hostilities between mainland China and China's province of Taiwan. But at the end of the day, China is going to win this fight. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take China to win this fight. I think they're going to win far faster than people, including myself, expected, given the fact that they're already making 7 nanometer and now even 5 nanometer chips. So the article goes on to say legal and trade barriers in the U.S. will only push them to ramp up operations elsewhere, attempt to reach Jin, whose career was highlighted in the report and who has appeared repeatedly in Chinese media, were unsuccessful. Strider says that it has no evidence that Jin stole intellectual property. NXP didn't return a message seeking comment. Okay, so this is something that I would say is besmirching the character of Jin Zheng, where they essentially make this entire article about intellectual property theft, but then they don't actually have any evidence that Jin stole anything, any intellectual property. And so they imply that he is stealing property through putting him in this article, but they don't actually have any evidence of it. So really a rude thing to do to this person. And obviously if he was in a position to sue, I think he'd have a very strong case there. Okay, so the article goes on to say the European companies have lost the most employees to Chinese firms. Okay, we don't care about those. The workers' motivation for leaving spanned the gamut. Some couldn't cut it, so they went back to China. Others were well compensated to make the move, while others respond to a sense of patriotism. I think that's slanderous too. Some couldn't cut it, so they went back to China. I don't think it's that they couldn't cut it. It's that living in areas as hostile as Europe and America, it's just not worth it. Like, why would you live in such a hostile area where you're likely to get murdered when you could move to a safer area like China? So saying they couldn't cut it just means that they want to live in a safer area, really. The article goes on to say, the report highlights the scale of Chinese recruitment of Western tech workers. They carry a huge amount of knowledge and information with them to the mothership. So that's just, again, more propaganda saying it's a mothership. People like to talk about China as a hive mind. They don't think of them as individual people. It's a very dehumanizing language. Saying a mothership really considers them alien creatures, not human beings. And so it's horrible. Horrible things to say from this Bloomberg article. So it says, I doubt the magnitude has been understood very well by industry leaders. Last week, the UK Parliament's Intelligence Security Committee published a 222-page report detailing the growing threat from China, including recruitment of technological talent, the lack of action. Okay, so again, though, if they didn't have a good offer, people wouldn't go there. So Europe, America, you don't have much to offer anymore. People are leaving because America sucks. I left because America sucks, okay? The lack of action to protect our assets from a known threat was a serious failure, and one from which the UK may feel the consequences for years to come. Meanwhile, Jin's Autorock, which counts as a state scientific institute and a state-backed fund among its shareholders, found rapid success at a car show in Shanghai in 2015. 7 of the 14 new electronic vehicles on display used the company's technology. As Autorock's stature grew, Jin discussed efforts his former European employer took to prevent him from leaving with trade secrets in an interview he gave to state-owned Science and Technology Daily. But the safeguards Jin boasted couldn't stop him from bringing back the knowledge and experience in my head. What we learned this week, one of the most pedestrian types of cyber attack is getting harder. What is this? To stop, there's been an alarming uptick in highly randomized, sophisticated so-called... Wait, what is this? That's weird. Okay, that doesn't seem related, but... So we're going to skip this last part. I don't know how it's related to the rest of this article. But yeah, this was a interesting read on semiconductors and the brain drain that's going on. And again, I guess my kind of summary point here is, if there wasn't reason to leave, if China did not make a persuasive case to these people, they would not be leaving. Whether it's for safety concerns in Western countries, whether it's for financial concerns, whether it's for just the general hostility towards China and Chinese people, there are reasons to leave Western countries. I left Western countries because people were hostile towards straight white Christian males in Western countries. There were job opportunities that were not available to me because of discrimination, and people through unofficial means told me about that on a very frequent basis. And so I could have found jobs that were six-figure jobs, decently cushy jobs, but there was something about living in a country that allowed those types of things to occur that really was upsetting to me. And I heard this nonstop throughout many different types of industries, big business industries, academia. There was a ton of discrimination going on, a ton of really bad practices that were just not being punished severely enough. And so I just did not want to be a part of a country that was so hostile towards people like me. And so that's why I do what I do now with my content creation, which is I try to advocate for people who are treated unfairly, dropping out of Western society. That's my role right now. And there's a lot of people, a lot of Christians who are dissatisfied with Western society. There's a lot of white people who are dissatisfied with the hostility and racism against them. There's a lot of males who, it's very clear that males are just not wanted in Western society. It happened very frequently. I was in a psychology department at multiple different types of institutions, and not all of them, but the vast majority just didn't like males. They were happy when the overwhelming people in the departments, both professors and students, were females, and they saw no problem with men dropping out of society. And well, men are dropping out of society at a very high rate now, and so they disliked straight people in modern Western society. There's just so many hostilities that I just couldn't be a part of that anymore. And so I was a part of that brain drain. With my doctorate, my 2 masters, my bachelor's degree, I just could not be a part of a country like America anymore. And so I took my intellectual capacity, and now I'm making content to advocate for Americans who are being treated poorly by their own government, and for other nations and other people who are being treated poorly by America and by Western hegemony. So anyways, that is my take on this article, and my take on just how this article intertwines with other issues that I'm interested in, and hopefully you're interested in as well if you're watching this channel. So thank you for watching, and if you found this video to be helpful, please give us a thumbs up. It does help us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel for more content on YouTube and Rumble. Tell a friend about our channel. We are being suppressed in the algorithm. We have various ways we're going to mark in the future, but we do appreciate any help you can give us through word of mouth. If there's anyone whose eyes we can open to these new perspectives, we would love to do so. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. Questions, comments, concerns, critiques. We'd love to hear from you. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.